Hello, everybody.
Good evening and welcome. Glad to have you here today on this beautiful summer evening. It must be July, Veronica, isn't it? Because it's so hot out here.
It is so hot. The cheapest person in the world, me, actually turned on the air conditioner.
Yeah, well, I have to admit, I turned mine on this morning. I just couldn't wait. It was just too hot. I'm out in Livermore. It's warm out here.
Hi, you guys. Welcome in. Thank you so much for coming. We are delighted to have you here today. You know, credit is so exciting, isn't it, Kara?
Hey, Veronica, it's very exciting when you teach it. And you know what? I learn something new every time.
Oh, you're awesome. Come on in, you guys. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your evening with us. We were trying to make it entertaining and fun and fast.
That's right. We're going to have a great time tonight. You're going to learn something new about credit that you didn't know before. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, or you can put them in the chat. We'll see what we can do to get to them as we're going along. And if we don't as we're going along, we'll certainly answer them at the end. And, you know, it's like 5:31. Should we go ahead and get started, Veronica? What do you think?
Yeah, let's give it another
minute.
15 seconds. Because we see those numbers are rolling up.
Yes, they are. Someone's asking about whether we'll get the slides later. We do not send out the slides separately. However, it is being recorded tonight. You may have noticed when you joined us. And Veronica will be sending everyone who registered a copy of the recording after the webinar. So in the next couple of days.
Absolutamente. Welcome and thank you so much for coming to Understanding Credit. I'm telling you, we're going to be boosting those credit scores high, high, high to the sky.
Hey, you know what, Veronica? I just had an idea going off the cuff here. I have some gift cards for Safeway that you can use either for gas or for groceries. Do you think after the webinar, we should randomly pick some people and send them some gift cards just as a thank you for coming on the webinar tonight?
You know what? Absolutely, because you know what? It pays to learn about your finances. It pays to be increasing your financial capacity, which we're going to be talking about today. So absolutely, let's get some gift cards in there and boost our amazing audience.
Absolutely, because we are all feeling it at the grocery store and the gas station for sure. So whatever we can do to help you out, we will definitely do that. But don't hold us to it. It'll take us usually at least a week or a week and a half. We got a lot going on, and we will send them randomly out to a few people who have joined us this evening. So extra bonus, we want to make sure we are using your time to the best that we can. And with that, I'm going to give you my official introduction. My name is Kara Hauk, and I'm the Community Relations Partner at Patelco Credit Union, which means I partner with all the community organizations. We give a lot to the community. We do a lot of sponsorships. We do a lot of grants, and we work with a lot of really wonderful organizations. And if you want to find out more about who they are, please go on the website. It's fabulous. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. But of course, my very favorite part of my job is working here with Veronica on webinars. So tonight, as you know, this is Understanding Credit. However, next month, we have Saving Strategies, the beginning of the month on June 8th, and 5 things every woman should know about investing. And that's on June 22nd. So you can go on our website, look up the webinars page, and sign up for either one of those. We also have some balanced webinars available, and we keep them up to date every couple of months. So check out and see what we have coming up. So we really appreciate you joining us tonight. And part of our way of respecting you and your time is making sure that you get all of the information that you need. So please ask us questions. I see one in the question and answer, which I will be looking at shortly, or put them in the chat, either way, and we'll get to them. And with that, I am going to tell you a little bit about Veronica Dangerfield, our speaker tonight. Veronica brings an engaging and thought-provoking enthusiasm. She's a financial educator, senior financial educator with Patelco Credit Union, an award-winning international speaker, a published poet, and a professional comedian. And what you'll remember most, as many of you know who've heard her before, is how much fun you had learning all about credit. And you'll leave being armed with key takeaways that will shift your thinking and impact your financial life. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Veronica.
Thank you so much for those kind and warm words, Kara. I am privileged and honored to have you here today. So first of all, thank you very much. Thank you for coming and paying attention to your financial health. So today we're going to talk about knowledge, access, and actions. At the end of this session, you will know how to get a credit report, how to dispute an error, what behaviors create a great credit score. You will learn about access. What is an active trade line? What kind of remix of credit products that give you the optimum scores? And we're going to talk about getting your credit score and taking it higher. And we're also going to talk about actions. We're going to talk about disputing errors. I'm going to encourage you to pay on time. We're going to talk about what you should do to maintain a great credit score. So it's all about credit. So what I would like to encourage you to do is to relax and enjoy the presentation. I will send you a copy of the presentation because I'm going to cover a whole lot of information and I want you to be able to absorb it. And my prayer is, I'm so passionate about this, is that I give you at least 1, 2, or 3 things that can change your mind and change your behaviors and lift you up. So when I begin to talk about credit, I talk about credit as an asset. And an asset is something that grows in value over time. Is credit an asset? I would say so, but not only is it an asset, it gives you access. When you have access to wealth, because then your financial trajectory is not dependent upon the amount of money that you have. It's contingent upon other things. So my name is Veronica Dangerfield, and yes, I'm Rodney's only Black child. It's so funny when I tell that joke. Many of the young people don't know who Rodney Dangerfield is. So I tell them that there's going to be danger in your financial field if you don't listen to me. Financial education has been a passion of mine. I read a lot of books and I study because I think a rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm sure you would agree about that. So again, thank you for coming. And we will carry on. So I wanted to tell you that I am a part of a credit union, and the credit union has a mission. And our mission is to build your financial life and your financial well-being, regardless of where you are and what's going on. And the first thing we want to talk about is managing effectively. If you can pay your bills every day, every month, without any stress, keep your credit score as well, you will be able to manage effectively. And then you can graduate to being resilient. And resilient is when you can take those financial hiccups or bumps and jump right back on your feet again, because you have adequate saving and you have a budget that is right on time. And then you have the opportunity to seize opportunities. And when I say seize opportunities, you can go to college, you can become a homeowner, you can be an international bag lady that travels all over the world and broadens her horizon by meeting people from different cultures. And then you can rise up to financial freedom. And not my financial freedom, whatever that means for you. Your financial freedom, your financial goals are deeply personal. So you do some soul searching and you find out how you want to manifest your financial goals so that you can live the life of your dreams. So every year I go traveling on my birthday. And I went to Belize this year. And while I was in Belize, my credit was being compromised, and I was being, I was the victim of identity theft. Yes, this is the alligator that is right behind underneath this pool, but the alligator was trying to steal my credit. While I was in Belize, I got letters from Capital One and Discover and all of these things asking me to finish filling out my application. Because I put a credit freeze on my credit, they have to notify me whenever anybody's applying for credit in my name. So of course, actually, I was able to dispute all of those, as well as the hard inquiries that hit my credit report. So hopefully today we can talk about some proactive things that you can do, because there's a lot of data leaks in the world, and the scammers have been prolific. Almost the scammers have been like, there's been a pandemic of scammers that have been taking advantage of people. But when you understand what's on your credit report, you understand how to check your credit report, you can prevent some of that. Let's get this. So, and I also want to, first of all, let you know that you have some basic rights with credit. You have a right to access your credit report, and you have protected access. That means that people can't randomly go into your credit report without your permission. You have a right to accurate reporting. That's why you have an opportunity to look at your credit report to make sure that it's right. You have a right to get outdated information removed from your credit report. You have a right to maintain medical information privacy, and protect yourself from possible negative information. So know what your rights are. So the FICO scoring misses 53 million people, 53 million people in the United States, because the credit scoring is based upon some things that many of the population doesn't have, like access to credit and mortgages. So it's not a perfect system. And that is why we have to get as much information as we can so that we can utilize how to make sure that we're a part of the financial pie. So 78% of people have access to a FICO score, but as you can see, 28 and 25 million people do not. So that's something that we're working on right now. And if you have a limited or a thin file, that means you have a limited amount of credit, you can go to your creditor, like your rent, the people that you pay rent to, and ask them if they would put your rent on to the credit bureaus. And you can also notify the credit bureaus and ask them to allow you to put your rent payment on the credit bureau. And if you want more information on that, it's all on our website, patelco.org. So credit is critical. Credit is going to determine how much you're going to pay for that brand new car. It's also going to, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. It's going to determine whether you can work where your employer is. It's also going to determine how much you pay for your rent. It's going to determine even your romance. They have did a study that shows that people who have high credit scores at the same time actually increases the success of their marriage. And you can see that probably makes sense, right? Because they're having the same type of behaviors. And then of course, your insurance. Did you guys know that your credit has more impact on your auto insurance than your driving record. That is crazy. So your insurance companies can run your credit and increase the amount of your credit, how much your policy is. And now I wanted to do a little poll. I'm gonna launch a poll and find out, how did you guys hear about this seminar? Get a little engagement going. Did you get an email to hear about the seminar? Or was it from the website? Are you from our Patelco at work? Did you hear about us in social media? Or are you one of my beloved fans? Oh, so I have a couple of people that came from, but most of it is from the emails. So most of you are our members. So thanks again so much. 92% are actually from our members. That is awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming. So, and I also wanted to let you guys know that the credit reporting system is extremely intricate. We are not taught how to use the system, and sometimes many of us feel shame about it. But remember, there was a lack of information, there's a lack of opportunity, and there's a lack of access. So if you have had challenging credit before, there is no shame. You are more than your credit score, and it is a very intricate system. So thank you for showing up, and know that there is no shame in your game when you're learning how to play the credit game. Ooh, did you see that? I just rhymed. All righty then. So what is credit about? I remember when I was growing up in East Texas with my mom, she would tell me always to pay my bills on time. But she didn't tell me that she used credit to supplement her income. But that's not what credit is for. Credit is to access other people's money. When you use credit to extend, it's great when you can use it, if you can pay it off at the end of the month to zero. That means you're using other people's money and you're saving your money until it's better. But using other people's money is how we access wealth in America. My ex-husband used to always say that the amount of money that you have has nothing to do with the amount of wealth that you can accumulate, because he was talking about you can accumulate more wealth with other people's money. And that is why credit is so important, because it allows us access. And most people use credit to manage their cash flow for unexpected expenses, and also to grow wealth. But this is primarily what credit was used for, to leverage good debts, purchase items that will increase in value over time, like assets like houses and cars and valuables, using it to invest in businesses so that you can actually accumulate more money, or invest in your own education, right? Because the more you learn, the more you earn. And then also you can use it to leverage bad debt. If you have consumer debt, you can pay the full balance in cash if you use a credit card. But remember, always have a debt repayment plan. I actually have a paying off your debt webinar that's really popular, and also pay your debt on time. So we're going to talk a little bit about the credit strength framework. And what we're going to talk about here is knowledge, what you need to know to understand and build credit. Access, we talked about access again, what products and opportunities you need to go to have to build credit long term, and also how to leverage that with action. And if you have the opportunity, please share this information with your children or with the young people, because they're getting their financial education from each other. And what happens is that they have a bad experience and then they don't ever recover from it. So what we want to do is we want to get the information now, and we also want to share it with our community. So there are 3 major credit bureaus in the United States. There are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. These all have different algorithms that give you a credit score. These are the 3 major ones, but there's also another reporting agency. It's called the National Consumer Telecom Utilities and Exchange. So you can also contact them and find out what type of information they have on you. This is when you want to use telecommunications, for pay TV, and for utilities. So we've got the 3 credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and NCTUE. And the phone number that you can use, and Kara, you can put this in the chat, that you want to find out what kind of information this organization has on you, it is 1-866-349-5185. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Okay, you guys, now we're going to talk about the different credit bureaus. There's 2 types. There's the FICO and there's the Vantage. And there's a difference between the 2. Now, I'm sorry. The FICO is the original credit score. It ranges between 300 and 850. It provides an easy to read score, and it has millions of consumers. But the difference is that it's developed by the Fair Isaac Company, and it has different models that can cause a score to vary. But what happened was there was many people who had a thin file, which is a limited credit file. And so the 3 companies came up with another scoring system. And this scoring system is called Vantage. And Vantage also ranges between 300 and 850. And it provides an easy to read score for millions of consumers. But it was developed by the 3 credit bureau agencies. And if you have limited credit, you probably want to have a Vantage score. The Vantage score doesn't, if you have a mortgage and you miss a mortgage payment, the FICO score will be affected more than the Vantage score. So they're just different types of ways that people score your credit. So you guys, now I wanted you to answer in the chat, how many credit scores are there? In the chat, how many credit scores are there? Somebody said, Gloria said 3, Stephanie, Bella said 3, Minna said 5. Very good, you guys, very good. But what I wanted to explain to you that there is the 3 credit bureaus, but the credit scores are very, very different. There's a different credit score when you go to Victoria's Secrets. There's a different credit score when you go get a car. And there's either another credit score when you go and buy a house. So there's more than 45 different types of credit scores. So if you if you go and you get, if you go to Credit Karma and they give you a score and then you try to get a mortgage and it's not the same, that's because they have different scores and they are industry specific. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the score ranges. The scores range from 300 to 640, and that is when you have a new credit or a thin file. Between 640 and 680, that's just fair credit. You can go to the dealership and you can get a decent credit score. But 680 to 720, that's when you have the good credit. If you have it from 680 to 720, that's when you qualify for mortgages. That's what most mortgages want you to qualify for. And then after 720 to 850, that's excellent credit. But by the time you get to 720, it doesn't matter anymore. So what it's going to allow you to do is the higher your score is, the better the interest rate is, and the less expensive your life is. My son has had a friend, and he went and he got a new car, and he didn't understand anything about credit, and he got a credit rating of 25.99. And it's very, very expensive because he was new to credit and he didn't know anything else. Although I persuaded him and I encouraged him to refinance the car because the interest rate was so high and he had a long time record of paying, he didn't do that. So I want you to know, if you have ever had not the best credit and you make consistent payments like 6 months, you can refinance the debt at a lower interest rate. And that's one of the great things about a credit union. You know, we're not for profit, and we're here to maintain your credit health and your credit history and your increasing your financial capacity. So know that if you've ever gotten a loan, after 6 months, sometimes the dealers tell you not to do it for a year, but you can do it as soon as you get the registration. You can refinance a car if you qualify. So just know that. So this again, the credit scores, when you have if you're under 580, that's when you're in that predatory lending where it's very, very, very expensive. But what the great thing about credit is that if you consistently pay on time, you can eventually get your credit scores to come up higher than this. And next thing we're going to talk about is credit utilization. And credit utilization is how much of your credit cards do you use? And most people, as you can see, if you use up to 30%, it's fair. But most creditors, I almost said predators, most creditors want you to have your utilization rate under 9% to have the best credit scores. And that is why I tell people that you shouldn't use credit to supplement your income. You want to use your credit so when you have an opportunity to get to buy a house or to get a business, that you'll qualify for the lowest rates. So, and these are the categories, you guys. This is credit in a nutshell, okay? So as you see, your payment history is 35% of your credit score. Your credit utilization rate is 30% of your credit score. So your payment and your use of credit is more than half of your credit score. And you know why that's good news? That if you pay on time and you use your credit intelligently, you will eventually get the credit score of your dreams. Now, it's simple, but it's not easy for some people. But you remember consistency. And then we have inquiries, they're only 10%. Now, inquiries are when you ask for credit, it's called a hard inquiry. When you ask for your credit to just check on it, it's a soft inquiry, okay? So remember, and let's say you want to go buy a car and you want to go to several dealerships. If you go, shop for a car and you go to several dealerships, your hard inquiries will only count once in a 45-day period. So if you're going to pull your credit, make sure that you do it within the 45 days, and then it's only going to last. It's only going to be one inquiry. Inquiries last on your credit report for 2 years. They fall off after 7 years, but they affect your credit score for 2 years. But you can see it's only 10%. And then we have the type of credits. We're going to actually talk about what that is. And then we're going to talk about length of credit. So the 5 building blocks of your credit score again is payment history, your credit utilization, the length of the history, the type of credit, and increase. So your payment history, again, 35% of your credit score. Okay, you have a credit card. Your due date is January the 1st, okay? In the chat, tell me, if you make that payment on January the 15th, is it going to adversely affect your credit or not? Okay, your due date is January the 1st. You pay it on January the 15th. Is it going to knock your credit score down? We got a few yeses, we got a few no's. Somebody said likely. Oh, this is great discussion. Okay, you guys, if you have a credit card and the due date is January the 1st, and you paid on January the 15th, all credit card companies are going to make you pay a late fee. Typically, it's $35. Nothing happened but the day. But your credit score will not be affected unless if you don't pay on February the 1st. So it's 30 days after the due date is when your credit is affected. So you're going to have to pay the fees if you don't pay it on time, but your credit will not be affected until 30 days after your due date. So, but make sure, as you can see, if you're making your payments on time, it says, okay, you got a brand new credit card. You got a brand new credit card and you haven't used it yet. What is it going to say on the credit report? It's going to say, okay. Okay, you have a credit card that you had 3 years ago and you have not used it. You've had it for 3 years and you have not used it in the 3 years. Is it going to adversely affect your credit score? On the chat, yes or no? You've got it for 3 years and you have not used it, and it's an active trade line. Is it going to affect your credit derogatory? Yes or no? We got quite a few no's. We got quite a few yeses. Okay. If you have an account on your credit report and you have not used it in 3 years and it is an active line, it may affect your credit adversely. What the credit history wants you to do is they want you to have an active trade line. And what is an active trade line, Veronica? An active trade line is an account that you do something on every 6 months. So you've got a brand new credit card and you have it for 5 months. On 6 months, the 6th month, you go and you buy something and you pay it off. That's an active trade line. The credit bureaus want you to have active trade lines in order to give you the best credit score. Now, so you know that, you know what's a late payment now? It's 30 days after the due date. You know that if you have any hanger-ons on your credit bureau that you are not using, you can either use it or not. What I would recommend doing that, if you look at your credit report and look at the oldest account on there, hopefully it's an account that you can use, that you've been using for a long time, and keep those accounts. Why? Because the older they are, the better your credit history is going to be, because you have the long time. So then we're going to talk about credit utilization again. So if you took your credit utilization, let's say you had 5 accounts. You take your account, the available balance and the account balance, and you divide them, okay? And then if you divide them, if you can see this person had $1,000 average of balance, but they had a $500 and it's 50%, no bueno. So if you have 5 accounts and they're all $1,000, you don't want to go over $500 on your, if you want the optimal credit score. Now, I want to talk about credit scores now, because you don't need to have an optimal credit score every single day of your life. You know what I mean? Credit is there for when you need it. So what I would say, that if you needed to get credit, like, I know I'm going to need to buy a car in the next year or so. I'm going to plan that when I do apply for that loan, that my credit utilization is going to be low, that everything is paid on time, and that I have the right type of credit mix. So this is another good one. So utilization rate. So it's at 20% if you have a $4,000 credit limit. So you spend $800. But if you spend that same $800 on a $2,000 credit limit, it's 40%. So when I get a credit score, I usually I don't close any of my accounts down. I make sure that I keep them all open, because it increases my utility rate, because I have a big available balance. Okay, and then length of history. Typically, it takes 2 years for your credit to be established. But right now they're changing it a little bit, because remember I told you about that Vantage score. So now, if you start an account and you keep it in good shape for at least 6 months, you're beginning to build your credit. I got a card from Macy's the other day congratulating me, because I got the card when I was a little bitty baby. So it said that, congratulations, you had this credit card for 35 years. So I am never closing Macy's down. Me and Macy's, we are bae. Me and Macy's, long-term successful relationship. So think about the length of history. And also, if you have young people in your life, think about where they begin their credit journey, where they begin their credit journey. Okie dokie. So then I'm talking about the type of credit used. We have your unsecured, we have your secured, and you have your loans in your line of credit. Now, unsecured, as in the old time, they used to call it a signature loan, because typically it's your credit cards and you want to have a balance of that. And then secured, your automobile loans, your mortgages, and then you want lines of credit. So you want to have at least 3, 1 of each, and 5 different credit sources with a mix of the 3 of these. I look very youthful, so young, but I'm very, very old. My credit report looks like one of those tiny phone books, but I only use a few of my accounts right now. And what I decided to help my children out, I have allowed them to get on some of my older credit resources. So that they can get established credit from my old credit, and also so I can keep my eyes on them and watch them like a hawk. Okay, that's the kind of mom I have. Now my daughter, I think she's going to be fine, but the boys, full time. All righty then. So we talked about that. We talked about credit history, utilization. And now I would like to encourage you to go to, we'll tell you where to go to annualcreditreport.com so that you can check your credit. Why? Because there's been so many information leaks from all of these companies, and the scammers are out there. And what they do is they get your Social Security card, they open up an account, and they pay on it for a while. They blow the account up really high, and then they leave. And then what happens is you have to clean up the mess. So you want to check your credit report. Now, you're going to go to annual credit report to check your credit report. And when you go, it looks very archaic. I sent some young people there and they thought it was a fake website, but it's very archaic, but that is it. And you can actually dispute accounts while you're looking at your credit bureau. You can, right now, I think you can pull them once a month, each of them. But what I would suggest doing, pull one the day after your birthday, and then every 3 months pull the others, because they don't have the same information on them. And different people use different credit bureaus. So if you're shopping for something, you might want to ask, you know, if you go to a car dealership, of course you're going to go to the credit union first, right, and get pre-approved from us. But you can ask, which one of the credit bureaus do you use? You know, so that then you can check to make sure that the score is good. And if you are a credit, a Patelco member, and most of you are, you guys can go on your mobile app and you can go to more and you can check your credit score on your mobile phone. It's phenomenal. So you have that information so that you can use it. Make sure that your name is right, especially if you have a name like John Smith or Roger Woods, you know, because like my son, my ex-husband, and my son's grandfather, they all have the same name. Their credit is a mess. So make sure that you check it. You can check the inquiries and you can check the negative items. And what I would do is, if you dispute something on your credit report, they have 30 days to respond to say either it's correct. If not, they have to take it off. So go to your credit bureau, your credit report, and start disputing things, and especially if they are not accurate. So again, which one of these are a hard inquiry? Application to borrow money, is that soft or hard? In the chat. That's hard. Requesting credit bureau from annual credit report, soft. Application to buy or rent, hard. New phone line, hard. Rent to buy options, hard. Request for utilities like PG&E, that is hard. So check your credit bureau. Check it for fraud. Check your name, address, and current resident. Check for hard inquiries if you haven't requested them. And you can also sign up for these things that sends alert. If you are, if you have the plus checking at Patelco Credit Union, you get free credit bureau, free credit reporting checking. So whenever something went wrong, like when those thieves were taking over my credit, I was actually getting emails from Patelco letting me know that somebody was applying for credit in my name. So mend your credit, prioritize paying on time. That is making sure, you guys, that you have automatic payments for at least the minimum so that you never miss a payment. Guess how much, in the chat, guess how much one 30 day affects your credit, affects your credit score. 30 day. In the chat, how much do you think that affects your credit score? Oh, it was a plus checking, Mary. A lot, somebody said. Jerry said a lot. Somebody said bad, hard, a long time. You guys are funny. Yes. Somebody said 20, 15, oh, 50. Somebody said 50 to 100 points. If you have one late, it can affect your credit down 70 points. That's a lot. And guess what? It's unforgiving because it stays on your report for 7 years, although it stops affecting your credit after 2 years. But who wants to do that, right? So pay down existing debt, check your credit for errors, and be patient. This is www.annualcreditreport.com. Maybe Kara could put that in the chat. That is where you check your credit. And checking your credit, again, will not affect your credit score. Okay. Righty. So I also wanted to talk about these accounts that also, they do credit monitoring, They track your spending, and they offer other products. Like everybody says, I'm in Credit Karma, I'm in Quicken, I'm in Mint. The thing is that there's no free lunch. If you decide to use these different people, what they do is they solicit you for products that they have. They solicit you for loan, and they sell your information. So you have to make sure that the good outweighs the bad on these. I'm gonna have to go there. Okay. Oh, identity theft again. The most common type of identity theft is credit card fraud. The next is employment related, phone utilities, bank fraud, so many types of fraud. So make sure that you protect yourself, because once you have the fraud, it is almost impossible to, it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult. So to prevent identity theft, make sure that your passwords, I just talked to my 20-year-old, he said all of his passwords are the same. I said, no, son. And make your passwords like a phrase, like, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Okay, it's long, but the longer it is, the harder it is for the bad guys to try to get into it. Also, shred unsolicited credit card applications, monitor your account, follow up with creditors if your bills are missing, very important. Keep your social security card and number in a safe location, and do not respond to spam. So guess what, you guys, you could freeze your credit. Okay, right now you have all the credit you need. You're not going to be shopping for credit, and you don't want to worry about somebody stealing your identity and getting the credit cards in your name. You can freeze your credit report. It does not cost anything. I did it to all three of mine because of the because I'm not using credit right now, and the bad guys are trying to get me anyway. So what happens is TransUnion, you can just go to each of the credit bureau agencies. You can put a freeze on it, but they're going to ask you to do a password. Whatever you do, don't lose that password, because if you lose it, it's going to be extremely difficult to thaw out your credit. So, but if you're not going to use it and you're not active with credit right now, I would recommend you freezing them, or at least put a fraud alert on them, so that if anybody is trying to access your credit, they can notify you. Maintain good credit by keeping track of your spending. Don't exceed your credit limit. Pay what you owe on time. Remember, we talked about the good remix of credit. You got secured, unsecured, and lines of credit. Limit applications for new cards. So what we're saying, you guys, is be strategic about your credit. This is your life. This is your information. I want you to make it a part of your financial health, to monitor your credit and teach your kids about it, because this is the key to the access to OPM, other people's money. And when you have access to other people's money, you have a way of building wealth. And if you get the money and it's not expensive, you can use it to purchase assets so that you can rise up and be resilient at the end of the day. If you have credit challenges, or you're new to credit, or you have young people who want to start their credit, there's ways you can do it. You can get a secured credit card from Patelco Credit Union, or you can get a Patelco Credit Builder loan, where it's a secured loan. We give you the lump sum of money, we put it into an account, and you pay it back. And it's not contingent upon your credit score. So if you know anybody who is having credit challenges and they want to build their credit, please recommend your credit union, because we have a product that will help them. So this is your action, you guys. Pay automatically and consistently. Keep that utilization rate low. Okay, you've had an emergency, you had to use that credit card and it's over 30%, it's at 50%. Do not beat yourself up. Some of the things that I tell you, they're aspirational. You might want to try to do that. You're not going to automatically do it at the beginning, but when we know more, we do differently. We change our behaviors. So if your utilization rate isn't low now, just make it a goal. It's all good in the neighborhood. Promise. Keep your older's account and monitor that credit. The Comprehensive Credit Act was coming because the way that credit is right now is not very good for Black and brown people, because because the ways that they did it, and with the redlining, and there was institutional ways that people discriminated, but the changes are coming. And I'm optimistic. Maxine Waters is trying to change things so that that the Comprehensive Credit Act is coming. But in the meantime, and in between time, continue coming to the credit union, continue getting financial education so that you can make better behaviors and better choices, and share the information with your beloved. However, now, if you're having financial challenges right now, you can come to Patelco at My Financial Journey. If you go there, we have certified financial counselors that are free. They will help you with your credit. They will help you with your budget. They will help you with your financial goals. And that is our credit union's commitment to our community. It does not cost you a thing. And then we also have a relationship with Balance. And then you can go to patelco.org. Patelco.org has a plethora of information. Don't you guys love that word? A plethora of information. It talks about credit building. It talks about getting alternative credit. It talks about having financial goals. So right now, you are not information poor. You are information rich. You have all types of information that you can use to improve the quality of your financial behaviors so that your life is not so expensive. Because guess what? You deserve this. Credit impacts so many different things. So that's why you took time out of your busy life to hear this information. And it's been my honor to share. And now I want Kara to come back, and maybe we can have some questions, some preguntas, some questions.
Well, as usual, we have lots and lots of questions. I know several of these things you did answer during the presentations, but I will ask some of the questions that I'm sure that the information needs to be repeated. So some people asked about having a card with your spouse, or maybe with a child. What are the pros and cons of doing that? And how does that affect both your credits?
So I have two minds of that. I share my credit with people that are very, very close to me, that I have an impact on and I can supervise, like my children. If you are a single person and you are in a committed relationship, but you have not, and you really, really, really trust this person, perhaps you want to share your credit. Otherwise, I would be highly, highly suspicious and protect my credit, because if that person makes some huge mistakes, you're going to be financially accountable for it, and it can ruin your credit. Even when I was married, I still kept credit in my own name, and I still maintained my own credit because I wanted to be extra cautious. So, but with my children, I'm getting them a leg up. And also, I have an aunt, and she was having a lot of problems, and I allowed her to be on one of my cards too, so she could get a place. I did not give her the card. I have the card, but she had the credit reference. So I was happy to do that for her because she was family. So it's a very individual decision, but proceed with caution and make sure that you're in charge of everything, that you can see the payments and that you understand the ramifications. Great question.
So there's several people who have asked questions about what's the best way to get your score up. Like, is it length of time, or I really need to purchase something this year? Should I take out 2 loans? If my credit's not good, should I get a credit builder at the same time as I get a loan? How do I do that?
First of all, in order to increase your credit score, pay on time. That's the number one. Make sure that all of your payments on time. You have to have 3 active credit lines. That means that you have credit that you use at least once every 6 months. That you have secured credit and unsecured credit. I got a Patelco credit card and I got a car loan and I've got a Macy's card. That is a great remix because it's unsecured, it's secured, and it's a line of credit. And then be patient. Trees grow. If you went out and yelled at a tree to grow, just because you couldn't see it grow, it's growing. You have to be patient. If you make a mistake, try not to make it again, but try to be consistent. And you'll see it go up, up, up.
So kind of along that same line, how can you get your credit utilization if you change it, how often does it get reported? And then again, how often does that get reported to the credit so you can change your credit? So, if I pay off loans, how often will that be reflected?
That is such an interesting question because a credit score is very, very organic, because so many things are happening at the same time. But like if I paid off an account, it probably wouldn't hit the credit bureau for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? It's not immediate. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. It depends upon the credit bureau and who you're paying and how often they report that. So it's kind of a mixed bag of good, and it just depends. So you might even ask them, if I pay off my car, when will you be reporting this? Oh, we do it on the 3rd of every month. Or, oh, we do it every other month. So it just depends.
Okay. Do you suggest having a secured credit card to help build your credit?
If you're new to credit, absolutely. But so a secured credit card is like a credit card with training wheels, okay? So if you get a secured credit card, make sure after maybe 6 or 8 months that you go back and apply to and make that secured credit card a regular credit card. So it's just a starter account. And make sure, you guys, that when you get a credit card, that it's from a person or a business that you're going to have a long-term relationship with. There are some predatory lenders out there that are selling credit. Do not buy credit. If they charge you $75 for the card and $25 for another fee, and by the time you get the card, there's $350 on it, beware. Great question.
Okay, there's some people that are saying like they're really good about paying off all their bills and being on top of things, but that isn't really reflected in their credit. So how would they handle that to get their credit score up?
You know what? I would suggest to go to My Financial Journey at Patelco.org and sit down with one of our financial empowerment coaches and have somebody support you and look at actually what you're doing, because you might be missing something.
Okay, and we have one more clarification about your credit utilization. How much of it can you spend? Do you spend, you don't spend over 30%, or you shouldn't spend more than 9%, or how much is it?
So if you want good credit, keep it under 30%. If you want excellent credit, keep it under 9%. So let's say you're going to buy a car at the beginning of the year. Maybe in November, you'll make your utilization rate down to 9%. So when you apply in January, your credit score is at its best. So that's it. And that's under all the credit cards you have together, accumulative, what your utilization rate is. But remember, it's only 15% of your credit score. You got 35% as your payment history. Oh, no, it's 30% of your credit score. So yeah, so that's pretty important. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. We have a couple questions about Credit Karma. What are the pros and cons of using that? If I use it for a while, can I
love
then
Credit
cancel
Karma.
it? What do you think?
I love Credit Karma because it's a great place to get financial education, but just understand they are a for-profit organization and they're going to sell your information because that's how they make their money. You know what I mean? So if you wanted to get financial education, you can come to your credit union. If you wanted to get your FICO score, you can get it from your checking account. So you can get the same things here. But remember, if you use them, and also you don't know who they're reporting. Are they reporting to Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian? You know, because that makes a difference. But I wanted to thank all of you for taking about your amazing time to visit us today with this presentation. I absolutely adore spending this time with you, and I will continue to do my research so that every time I make a presentation, I am giving you the best that I got. I'm so pleased to have you here, and I will be sending out a copy of this presentation to you in your inbox. So look for it then. And thank you so very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.